Hey everybody, it's Nathan
and Jess
Selove with another episode of You Might Be Autistic If.
You might be.
For example, if you're in this video, you might be autistic. First.
All right. You have to cut that though. Yes. Me stemming. Yes, you need to cut that.
We'll see. For those of you that are new to the series, the purpose of this is to celebrate the ways in which autistics are unique and also laugh at some of the funny quirks that we have. These are all audience-submitted You Might Be Autistic If statements. As always, just because you don't embody some of these does not mean you're not autistic, and just because you do embody some of these doesn't mean that you are autistic. You met one autistic.
I have to sneeze, I'm sorry. Everything was good until my nose, like you didn't see it, but my nose went, as always, you met one autistic. You met one autistic.
There's redemption for you. So let's get started. Jess, would you like to read the first one?
I would.
All right, let's read the first one.
As per usual, we try to pronounce your handle correctly. Sometimes we're wrong. You can correct us because we're autistic. We don't mind being corrected when we're wrong.
And also, I'm dyslexic, so I'm probably going to say some of them wrong.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He doesn't read. He just pretends to.
I read.
Memory 8888 says, you might be autistic if a large object, like a hamper, that you can clearly see, is placed in an area you normally walk through, and from then on, constantly bump into it, no matter how many times you see and make note of it being there, because you rely heavily on years' worth of predetermined internal road mapping of the area, and that objects are not a part of it. This is you!
This is me. This is definitely
you!
Me.
I'll even say, oh, Nathan, I want you to watch out. There's this thing here. And he will say, yeah, and then fall over it immediately after.
I stubbed my toe really hard on the bed just yesterday.
You do that every night.
Well, the reason for that is because the room downstairs that we sleep in, when I was younger, it was organized differently. And I was so used to that organization that whenever I go into it, I just cannot comprehend the fact that the bed is in a different spot and I keep stubbing my toe.
And yeah, it's not a clutter issue because
it's not.
In his childhood bedroom and in the bedroom he had when I first met him, so a childhood bedroom, he had so much stuff everywhere, just crap all over the place. And he would find the route that worked perfectly every time. But if you cleaned things up because you're a nice partner, he would freak out and fall over everything.
I didn't freak out. I was just...
You'd fall over everything.
I fell a bit.
You'd be like, who put my dirty clothes in the hamper?
Yeah. My parents actually had to put some pads and duct tape on some corners of cabinets that were put in. Because I couldn't I couldn't get used to the fact that they were there, and I kept hitting the side of my shoulder.
Here's the thing. Baby proofing is not unusual, but how old were you when they did this?
Let's not talk about that. This is from Unimeko-chan. You might be autistic if reading before going to sleep actually activates your brain, and it ends up swarming with thoughts about the book instead of relaxing and getting sleepy.
That's me.
That's you. That's how I am with a lot of YouTube videos.
You have strategies for this, because when I was in high school, I was especially bad about this, and I am not a night person, right? We can attest to this. I get tired at 9 o'clock, or, all of my life, whatever.
Yeah.
And I normally will get to sleep, but when I used to read to get myself to sleep, most of the time I'd get so engaged in the material that I would stay up really late. And I would stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning reading. And so what I've learned I have to do is either I have to read a book I'm very familiar with and comfortable with, so that way it's just kind of a soothing, oh, I know this story, I know I can stop because I know what's going to happen. Or I watch a lot of YouTube channel videos on my special interests, and that will help get me to sleep. I know some people have issues with blue light and stimulation from videos, but honestly... Yeah. If you put me in front of a screen, I'll fall asleep. E clutch.
Shifty clutch.
It's not shifty clutch. There's a one there. You might be autistic if, when walking and phone is in your pocket, you still bump into objects and people all the time. Your attention is always looking at the ceiling lights, noticing little things like people, jewelry, items on the ground, and so forth. Ugh, excuse me. I kind of relate to this in the sense that I don't look at the ceiling, but I like to look at my feet and at the floor when I walk, which means I don't fall quite as often because I do tend to notice things that are on the floor that I might get hurt on. When I'm not looking at the floor, that's when I fall. But because of that, I don't see what's right in front of me. And so I won't see that, like, I'm bumping into people or I'm in the way or anything like that.
I'm really one-track minded. So, like, when I'm walking, there are certain things that I'm going to be focused on, like counting the bricks that I'm walking over and not stepping on cracks. And sometimes that's at the expense of not walking into trees or bike poles.
Oh, hold on, I have to scratch my nose.
So, Lila, this one's from Lilia Vayuna. You might be autistic if, in a medical setting, you completely understand every word the intern is telling you in a scientific and unsentimental manner, but your brain goes blank for 5 minutes to understand what the supervising doctor is saying because he or she is pretending to be empathetic and to explain what is wrong, and then you have to check in with the intern to make sure that you understood correctly that the supervising doctor just said the same thing the intern explained, just in a way that you couldn't grasp. And you might be autistic if you need a therapist to explain to you that 99% of people, in fact, understand only the supervising doctor's approach. I can understand that.
Can I weigh in on this?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
I understand both aspects of that because I did go to nursing school for a little bit, and so I do understand a little bit that people, when they're in the room with physicians or with nurses, can have trouble understanding like medical terminology speech. It's a little bit uncomfortable. They're also in an uncomfortable setting, and so when they're anxious, it's harder for them to understand. But I also understand where this autistic is coming from because it is hard if someone's kind of using a lot of I'm sorry speak to suss out how bad is the problem, what do I need to worry about, what should I be looking for.
See, I was feeling this when I was watching The Good Doctor.
Oh yes, let's go for medical accuracy here. Go.
Well, no. So here's what I mean.
TV shows are great for that.
I know, but here's what I mean. You know, when I was watching The Good Doctor, I always appreciated Sean's whole like he says it directly, he says what's wrong, he doesn't code anything, and my thought is always, okay, good, we're not wasting any time. But then the other doctors, they come in and they take like 2 minutes to get to the freaking point, and I'm just sitting there thinking, if I were one of those family members, I'd just be like, spit it out, is my relative about to die?
So here's a suggestion for you autistics. When you're going to a medical facility, especially if you're not established there, have a quick 1 minute chat of a script maybe that you've thought of ahead of time to say, I'm autistic, and sometimes if people use a lot of empathetic speech, like I'm sorry to say that this might happen, and we're doing everything we can, without giving me very clear instructions about what I can do or clear expectations, I won't get the point. This one is from Kai. You might be autistic if your kid thinks you're always grumpy because lately everything seems to overstimulate you. Oh. I have a new puppy and she's very overstimulating and makes me sad because I love her so much.
Aw.
So
we have a puppy.
We do. I wasn't sure if they were referring to the puppy as their kid, which is fine, or if they were saying their kid is also confused.
The kid's also.
But I do feel that because I have days, especially, I feel like I do that to you, where I have days where I'm just so overstimulated by everything, where you'll come in and be like, Jess, and trying to kind of, you're my puppy, oh my God.
Yeah, I am her puppy sometimes. But yeah, I'll come in like, hey Jess, let's go do something, and you're like, what?
No, it'll even be, you'll just come in and you'll lie on top of me, and normally I love being crushed, but at that point I just can't have it. If it's an actual kid, maybe there's an age-appropriate way to let them know that sometimes you're not able to handle a lot of noise or lights or touching, whatever is easy to explain to them. If it's the puppy is your kid, that's kind of tough. Puppies are lovely, but they can be really overstimulating. Hopefully there are other aspects of that puppy that are really soothing to you, like petting the puppy, letting them cuddle with you. Also, if your puppy is very, very rambunctious, it might be worth checking out to see if you're providing enough activity level for that puppy. Sometimes people underestimate how much energy puppies have and that they need to be able to walk for a long period of time or run around in a fenced-in, safe area, or sometimes just playing.
Blake is a puppy. Well, that is all of them. If you have a You Might Be Autistic gift statement that you would like to submit, please do. And as long as we get enough of them, then we'll be able to make another one of these videos. So be sure to do that. That's today's video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this episode, please give it a like, a share, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my other stuff. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, support me on Patreon. And you will see me and her at some point, but me definitely in the next one.
You can't see me.